All right, so today we will be talking about the Derek Chauvin case. Would anyone like to give a quick rundown about what that case was for?
Yes. So, um, last year in May, Derek Chauvin, don't know how to pronounce his name correctly, kneeled on, yeah, what she said, kneeled on George Floyd's neck for over 9 minutes, and that caused his death. So there was this trial, and how a lot of things. Go watch it. It's really interesting. It's really time consuming, but it's also historic. And guess what? He was guilty on all three charges.
Got him.
So how did the trial actually make you guys feel? Because for me, it was like nerve-wracking, but at the end, it was kind of happy for
I don't remember if I talked about last time, but the whole trial made me bad. The whole trial, especially the outcome, let me say, how everyone reacted afterwards, made me feel very bittersweet. Because people were like, half people were like, justice, finally it shows the justice was breaking, all that kind of stuff. People were like, and other people were like, the only true victory we would have had is if George was still here, if Mr. Floyd was still here, that kind of stuff. And just everything, the things that happened, apparently after the trial, Miss Nancy Pelosi, she's a government person, I think a congresswoman or something for the state of California. She was on a press call or press meeting or whatever, and she said, "Thank you, George Floyd, for your sacrifice." And I was just like, So the responses for everything were just kind of mixed, and it's definitely something that you have to have your own personal feelings on, because not everyone's gonna have the same personal connection to it.
Okay, first off, I was wrong of Nancy Pelosi to say that, because one, that's just disrespectful to the family, and two, that's just disrespectful to him and the rest of the soul. It's just disrespectful.
Yeah. I don't understand why she said that. She was saying thank you for crying out to your mother while you were, she's talking as if he chose to be in that position. No, he should have never been in that position. He shouldn't have died. So it's not, I don't know, the way she addressed it was just straight up weird. Another thing I want to just mention is that the fact that we were all on the edge of our seats, we were so very uncertain if he was going to get the guilty verdict or not, it says a lot, because we literally have video evidence. We had the doctors explain how, whatever the argument that he died of overdose was very unlikely in this case. It just says a lot about, even with video evidence, multiple witnesses and experts talking about it, that we weren't sure if we were, going to get justice for George Floyd, even though it's not much justice, like Felix said. It's just accountability, which is still a small step. But yeah.
Yeah, like I said before, we got on the recording, I said that Derek's lawyer, defender itself, put reasonable doubt into the mind of the juries. He said it in the beginning, I'm going to put reasonable doubt in your mind. He also did come back with what Gabby said, that he should have never been put in that situation, George himself. But she said that legal people were saying that it was an overdose, or that Derek caused the thing. But his lawyer himself was saying he did not kill this man. He had room to move his neck and stuff, which was causing reasonable doubt to put in the jury's mind and stuff, and saying that Derek did not actually kill him. In the end, he actually did kill him, because his knee was still on George's neck 3 minutes after he took his final breath, which is not only heartbreaking, it's disapproving, because that type of restraint should not be used, because that was not restraint. That was an intent to kill.
Just to give my 5 cents, I totally agree with y'all. It was interesting because I'm gonna be real. I purposely did not pay that much attention to the trial, mostly because I had originally written it off as we're just screwed. Like, I have never in my 15 years, me personally, I know there's 1 or 2 cases in my dad's life that he's seen work out. I've never seen a case work out. So off the bat, I was like, there's no, like, I don't see a point in paying attention if I'm just gonna like get my hopes crushed again. And so when Nevaeh texting me that, hey guys, we're canceling the gun control thing, Derek was found guilty, I was like, wait, like we won? Like, he got what, like, it happened? I was so shocked. I totally agree with Gabby. I was thinking about that, like, about the thing about the fact that I was even reluctant to pay attention, or that anyone was scared. That says a lot. One of my classmates, because we were talking about this, obviously, during advisory, she was saying, her worry is that the police department will just use Chauvin as like the one sacrifice they have to make, be like, oh no, look, we did something good, and just keep maintaining the system because they took care of one case, you know? That's like the feedback I've been generally hearing, is that people are worried that the movement is gonna die down after this, and so like everyone's saying we have to push harder now that we won, so that like things change more significantly. Go ahead, Felix.
I mean, I agree with you, but I also want to put, this case not only shows that the state's not gonna stand for that, it also shows that cops will be put accountable for their actions that they did.
That's the thing. I have 2 things to mention, both of them related to what April said. First of all, I do agree with the whole, like, the cops will think that this is like the one sacrifice that they have to make, and this shows that things are going to change. Because I read it on a post somewhere that out of 16,000 incidents in the last like 20 years, only about 29 officers have been convicted. So think about that math for a second. And there are definitely people who are going to be like, see, the justice system works. You see, you got the justice that you need. But then that goes into my next point. The same day that we were celebrating the victory of a guilty murderer being convicted for his crime, a 16-year-old was shot and killed in Columbus, Ohio. Makia, I forgot her last name. She, for defending herself, essentially. She was shot and killed because she was a Black person who wanted to defend herself. So while people are going to tell us like, hey, look, the justice system is working, things are changing, like I said, the same thing was still happening. Literally minutes after we got the guilty verdict, and we lost another person. Like, things like that.
Yeah, but I want to add on, because like there's some like parts people don't know. She did have a knife because she was going to get jumped by 4 other people. She actually tried to stab. She cut the cop. And there's other ways to restrain people. I'm not going to say like he had the right to shoot her. There is something called a taser, or there's something called like restrain to get the knife out of her hand. She should not be shot 4 times. One thing the case is going to be about is what was her mens rea. Like, she had a knife. Like, they're going to say she had a knife. She had an intent to harm. But in this sense, she was just protecting herself.
That's what
from the 4.
She had the intent to harm, but it was in the name of self-defense.
Yeah.
The reason why she might have attacked, I obviously wasn't there, but the reason why she might have attacked the police officer is because, she was already in a frenzy. It wasn't like she was just carrying a knife around, that kind of stuff. And even if they did want to shoot her to protect themselves, they did not have to shoot her in the chest.
Yeah, like, I agree with that. Like, I'm not saying like she deserved to die or anything. Like, what I'm saying is she was getting jumped by 4 people. Like, you're in a mode where like you're either going to be scared, you're going to get beat, or you're scared, like you're not going to be able to, like, what's up, April?
So, okay, because I've been seeing a lot of different sides of this on the internet. Not that I've looked into it. Like, I honestly haven't looked into it at all. I was just very confused. I like what happened? I don't know. And people are saying like, I don't know, a cop died or something. I don't know, like, what happened?
Oh, no.
It's a different.
I don't know where you saw that. So basically what happened
I don't know.
Like that's a different one.
I don't know all the details either, but I do have a small gist of what happened. So as Nevaeh was saying, this teenage child, like she's younger than literally all of us,
She's the same age as me. Can I say that? She was 16. Yeah. She's the same age as me.
She was getting harassed and, as Nevaeh said, jumped by 4 other people. She grabbed a knife to protect herself, because that's what you do when you have something to protect yourself with. She not only called the police, but she called her family as well, because you don't, because of course you're not going to automatically know when the police are going to come, if they're going to deal with the situation right away. So she called her family as well. When the police arrived on the scene, she was holding the knife, but I'm pretty sure in some point people said that she dropped it. Like people on the scene said that she dropped the knife at some point, but before they told him to drop it. And the officer that shot her 4 times in the chest told her to drop the weapon, which most people on the scene said she had already dropped, and then within less than half a second shot her 4 times in the chest after giving that command.
And
is there body cam footage?
Somebody recorded it and put it on Facebook
afterwards, but that was after she was shot and killed.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened to the 4 people who jumped her?
I don't know.
I don't really get news on that. I presume they either ran or were still on the scene, because
they probably ran when they saw the cops.
I don't know. Yeah, they probably did.
Yeah, like you don't want to get that.
There was not really any
Yeah. But,
so that was like the gist of it. Obviously, I don't know everything.
Yeah, but one thing, like I watched the video, like where a woman was screaming, you shot her 4 times. He was literally standing over the body, looking down at her, and there was no ambulance on site. Like from what I saw, like they didn't even call it in, but I'm unsure if they actually did call it in. And like watching a 16-year-old bleed out who was shot 4 times is different.
Leading into that, I was just saying that how like people will scream justice and how like, oh, the world is changing, all that kind of stuff, but this stuff is still happening. So yeah. And like keep in mind there are still people of different races getting beaten, people of different identities, people of different religions, all that kind of stuff. So getting harmed and harassed and all that kind of stuff. So while this is a great victory, there's also like, the dread that you had, April, with like, oh, I didn't believe that there was going to be a victory, because I've seen so many trials where a victory was never an outcome. So like seeing that, and then seeing things like this happen again and again, and then like especially for like me and April, we definitely have to go out in our lives with a sense of fear. Like in our everyday lives, we still like we're not like the most likely to get like into altercation. Like we're definitely like how Nevaeh, you said that you felt a little sense of like yourself, Nakia, because she was around your age. Felt a little sense of myself in her, because I am also a feminine presenting Black person. And if I was in a situation where I was scared because something was going to happen to me, could I trust the police to come save me, or do I trust them to come kill me? That kind of thing. So yeah, it's just people will say this is a victory. People who don't want to believe in the actual truth will say this is a victory. You see things are changing, but once you actually like live a life and see things, you know that this is just one small step forward and thousands that we have to take.
Yeah, but one thing, you said you're scared to know if you're gonna live or you're gonna die by a cop's hand. That's something you should not like have to worry about. What you should have to worry about is when you're going to see a movie with your friends, or like, is your parents gonna find the report card that you hid under your bed? That's stuff like a normal teenager should worry about. Like, but you should never worry about like, oh, am I gonna get shot today by a police officer or something like that. Like that's something you shouldn't worry about. Like no matter your color, no matter if you're a male, female, or whatever age, you shouldn't worry about that.
Here's what's interesting, right? So, because what Felix is saying is right, but I'm not as worried about myself as I am Moses. And there's a very specific reason for this, right? Like, it's weird because I'm also like mixed, and I don't like, people don't mess with me because of my race, people mess with me because I'm weird. Whole nother topic. But like, so Moses is my little brother, and as Felix mentioned, I'm half Black, I'm half Filipino. I should lay that out there. I forgot. Everyone watching might not know that. Moses is the middle kid, and he is the blackest looking one out of the three of us. Like straight up, like his skin is darker. His hair actually isn't curly, which is, anyways. Point being, he's the only one who is like really like black presenting, I guess, or whose skin is darker. So he's the only one my dad has ever truly been worried about. And so for me, it's been kind of surreal hearing about, like, obviously I know that my dad has gone through that. My mom has never really had to worry about that. So it's less of like, I guess, a fear for myself and more of a fear of like, oh my gosh, if Moses is walking down the street with his hoodie up, looking hecka sus, even though he's just walking down not that he leaves his room, but if he hypothetically did, like, it's just this weird, I don't know, it's an interesting time, I guess, for me to be alive, because it's like, wow, you're hearing all of these different narratives and you're like, I guess that kind of does apply to me and my people, but it almost doesn't feel like it because I don't share that experience. So I don't know, I feel like I'm just sitting here listening to other people's and being like, wow.
Oh, like, you are right. Like, there was a black man who got shot. I can't remember his name. He got shot because he was running and somebody called the cops on him, and he's dead now. And we can never like see that man again. Like, we can never see what success he could have brought to the world.
I was just gonna say, April, the only reason I mentioned you is because you're the only other black person here, but I can relate to what you said about like the whole, like, there's this, like what Nevaeh said is like, I shouldn't have to fear about people who I believe should be protecting me, hurting me. And like how you think about, you're scared that like your younger brother will go out one day and something will happen to him just because he looks like he could do something. Story time. I don't know if I've told this story on here, but back when I was 10, my dad used to always buy me Safeway cookies, and every day I would count them, right? And they would almost always be under 50 because, you know, they're supposed to have 50 in them, or they used to supposed to have 50 in them. So one day we go to Safeway, and the nice little bakery lady, she gives me a tin of free cookies, 10 free cookies, because she was like, oh, you're such a good kid, you counted all the cookies, all that kind of stuff. I was so happy. We walked outside. The Safeway security guard immediately runs up to me and is like, did you pay for that? Did you take those cookies? Where'd you get those from? Keep in mind, I was 10. Of course, that there are 10-year-old two shoplifters, I'm not going to deny that, but I was 10, I didn't know what was going on. My dad was furious. And my dad works, as I've said several times, he works at the juvenile hall in Martinez, so he flashed his badge at this man. And he said with a very deep and angry tone, do you think I would teach my child how to steal? Do you think I would teach my child how to steal? The security guard backed off. I didn't think of it much at the time. I was just like, haha, the guy thought I stole these because, you know, there was no bag, there's no receipt on it. Now that I was thinking about it, like, wow, I was racially profiled as a child simply because of the color of my skin. And with all this stuff happening now, that's going to be happening more and more, especially with like the spread of information on the internet. So the spread of like ideas and stereotypes and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's, again, not something I should be thinking about as a child or even now, really. I should be thinking about school. I should be thinking about like my hobbies. I should be thinking about friends. So it's just like, in this world today, I'm not just thinking about how I'm going to live my life. I'm trying to think of how I can survive my life with like the hardships that were given to me, basically.
With the I had like so many things to say, but it went on like different topics. But like going back to I forgot her name. Was it Michaela or Makia?
I think it's Makia.
Okay, so when she was shot, she did call the police, and if the police are supposed to help her, she called them for help, but then within like minutes or seconds later, like after they arrived at scene, she ended up being dead. And like it is very like saddening to see how people are like racially profiled or just affected by how the racial bias could like spread through the system. And it's just it makes me so mad, because like I would never know what it's like to be Black in America, but from where I'm standing, there is a clear prejudice and like something's wrong with the system, and we all know, all could see it, but it's just some people are just so close-minded.
I completely agree with you too. I mean, Makia did call the police, right? And I don't really understand like why in the right mind would they shoot her even though she's the one who called, you know? And I'm pretty sure since she has a knife on her hand, I understand from the police perspective that it's a threat in a way, but I'm pretty sure like the police are pretty much trained to know how to disarm a person with a knife. I don't think they have to go that far with a gun or that with a gun in hand and just shoot her just because she has a knife in hand. I mean, you're the police. Like, they're the police. They're supposed to be trained in those situations. I don't like. Why are they so quick to pull out a gun and shoot her? Like, they could have used other options, like what Nevaeh said, like a taser, for example. Like, that's what's bothering me actually. Like, y'all are supposed to be trained, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Like, she was 16. And there were many other occasions where a white counterpart had like a same weapon or even a gun. Like one individual, he had a gun. He pulled it out on an officer and then he stabbed him. You know what the officer did? He first pulled out his gun, but then switched to a taser, and he did tase him, but he's still alive. And then the person who shot up a church, he was arrested and was brought he was brought Burger King. He's still alive. And there's a clear difference on how Black people and white people are treated in this society, and it's still happening even like centuries later, decades later. There's still this injustice in this system.
Think about that school shooter who they were like, or that is that what you're talking about? Who they got like food for after or whatever? That. Who else? Someone else. There was some other dude, and they were like, he's just having a bad day. What was that? That made me itch.
Oh, that was the salon parlor.
Yeah, that was the mass shooting in the salon massage parlors in Atlanta.
Please, a bad day. Then they used the family photos for the.
Like, yeah, what Pia was saying, there is definitely a prejudice in our system. There are thoughts that like one race definitely has to think every day that another does not have to think, you know, just even once in their lives. And unfortunately, that prejudice is not going to go away anytime soon. It probably never will. But I think our job as the next generation is to make sure that everyone's day will be a little bit, you know, their thoughts will be a little bit safer. They'll feel a little bit safer in their homes and going out running and going out, spending time with family, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying that like, hey, we need to make sure that like the place is safe for everyone, because nothing's ever going to be 100% safe. But we definitely need to reform a system that has failed groups of people time and time again.
Hey, remember Derek Chauvin? Because I don't.
Oh, can I say one thing? Can I say the fact that he wasn't in jail during his whole trial? It was his first time going to jail when he got.
They never locked him up. What the heck?
Never locked him up. That if that doesn't show you something, I don't know what will. And on us, we followed the case, and don't forget to watch our other video because we talked really more about it. But Pia has one last word. I forgot what to say. I lost my train of thought. But when we were getting the verdict, he tried to look innocent. He was like he looked so confused. Like, what? I'm being convicted of a crime? We got video evidence of you. Don't act innocent. And like I remember there was one clip there. This was like at the scene of where he killed George Floyd. His body weight was on him, like on his neck, because his foot was off the ground. And him being like a grown man, and having that much pressure on your neck, yeah, that's for sure gonna kill you. And I forgot, there was this other point I had, but I forgot what.
I just wanted to say, like, I feel like we really need to understand that police abuse power. They have this power that, most people are just, I don't know, they just grow up believing that they can use it however they want just because they're police. But we need to hold them to the same standards. They're not above the law. We don't want them to be below the law, but we just same standards. Like, I don't know what else to say on that police should not be able to get away with this on a daily basis. And like, just because some people see this one case and like, oh, well, this only happened like one. No, it's been going on, but this is the first time we get to like project it, because there was the body cam evidence, multiple witnesses. If there wasn't people out there recording and the man who called the police on the police, the reports that the police had was going to write him off as dying as an ODing. So his case would have been swept under the rug like many others, and it's just sad at this point. But yeah,
the fact that Black people have to die in order to see some type of change, it's disgusting, because there are hundreds, like thousands, possibly millions of people who have died under the hands of the police, and they didn't get the justice that they need. And what was it, like the 29 people who were convicted? Yeah, that's too little. And like, compared to those who actually died, like, they all need to be held accountable for the actions that they committed.
Facts. Mad respect.
So that is it for this podcast. This has been Law and Order, and we had an amazing discussion about the trial itself. Let us know how you guys felt about the trial. Did you feel nerve-wracking like us? Or did you feel happy of relief that he got the guilty verdict? Don't forget to like, follow, and comment on our podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to follow us at Project Batu and at Club Stride, and on Facebook as well. This has been great, and thank you guys for listening. Bye, guys.
Bye.